Good morning and welcome to this live update for Hurricane Beryl. I'm Jevi Ebanks. Joining me today is Robert Tatum of the Support Services Cluster. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about the Support Services Cluster and your role in NEOC.
So I am the cluster manager for the Support Services Cluster. There are 5 ESTs, or emergency support teams, under the cluster. Those include economic continuity, which is private sector continuity essentially, continuity of operations for CIG, and resource support, which is in relation to supporting the rest of the NEOC and the responders. There are the relief aid services, which is in relation to after impact services and distribution. And then there is the JCS. How could I forget the very channel we are on, actually? So that is Joint Communication Services, and they are responsible for coordinating all of the messaging that you've been seeing this afternoon, this morning, and pre-storm, post-storm, everything to do with government communications.
Tell me a little bit about some of the agencies that form up the support cluster, and then walk us through those 5 sectors that you were telling us about and how the public will see them in action.
Gotcha. So I'll start with JCS, so don't forget it again. JCS is I would say the core of what the support services does. All of the messaging goes through them, so everything you would have seen post-storm, or everything you will see post-storm and everything you've seen pre-storm comes through them. All of the preparedness messaging, all of the shelter in place, all of the updates in relation to the all clear that we will hopefully issue in the morning. All of that comes through JCS, and it's to make sure we have a single point of truth, and it's where you should continue to get all of your messaging in relation to the storm. The continuity arms that I mentioned for CIG and private sector, those are really there to make sure that CIG is stood down as appropriate and is also stood up as fast as possible to ensure that government services continue and that all of the private sector operations, everything from stores and gas stations to hotels, have everything they need to operate. The support services cluster, again, is a bit more internal, so we have a unit called resource support, which provides additional resources to other clusters within the NEOC should they need POs or purchase orders or additional resources in terms of manpower, womanpower, these sort of things. The relief aid management is more so post-storm, but obviously a lot of planning goes into ensuring that those distribution sites are ready, they are stocked, they are staffed, and they are available to provide essential services in the aftermath of any storm. We hope to never have to stand that cluster up, but it does take quite a bit of preparation to ensure that it is ready to go in the event that we need it.
So tell me about where your cluster is now, where you expect the cluster to be tomorrow, and any other major updates you have for the public at this time.
So JCS is currently active. That is the current media that you're watching now, including any other messages coming out from the official Cayman Islands government channels. They are the most active at the moment. Relief aid is currently in a planning stage to make sure that in the event it needs to be stood up, we can get those messages out to the public to ensure that everyone knows where to go get supplies and what type of supplies are available outside of your standard stores when those are able to open again in the all clear. The continuity of operations, both private sector and government at the moment, are essentially on standby. Everything is essentially shut due to the proximity of the storm, and they are also waiting for the all clear in order to determine how they're going to ramp those services back up. The same with resource support. They are currently on standby. There are no additional requests for resources at this time, which is a good thing. The more ESTs we have on standby, it means the more normalcy we have. So at the moment, the 2 most active are relief aid and joint communications. In terms of important messages for the public, please ensure that you get all of your messaging through official government channels, and those will be like the channel you're looking at right now. That includes the WhatsApp channels for the National Weather Service, the Cayman Islands government, all of our Facebook and other social media pages. That'll be the most important for right now, and please stay safe.
Thank you so much. Is there anything that I didn't ask you but you do wish to say?
Nope, I think you got it all covered.
That is Robert Tatum from the Support Services Cluster. We're going to transition now to the Human Support Services Cluster, and joining me at this time will be Mr. Jace Wilson, who is the Human Support Cluster Manager.
Good morning, Jeve.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good, good.
Tell me a little bit about the Human Support Cluster Service and what you guys do.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Jace Wilson, and I'm the manager for the Human Concerns Cluster. So the Human Concerns Cluster entails our medical relief services. We also have mass fatalities. We have mental health support. We have shelter operations, and we have volunteers, so mass volunteer support.
Tell me a little bit about where your cluster team is in terms of Hurricane Beryl, and where do you expect to go from here?
So right now, as it relates to Hurricane Beryl, we are fully operational. Our most busiest ESTs at the moment are going to be our shelter operations. So shelter operations, as you know, we have 19 shelters across Grand Cayman, and we have 2 in Cayman Brac, and we have 1 in Little Cayman. At this moment, we have just over 500 persons that are in shelters at this time. That is going to be our most busiest EST at the moment. We also have our medical relief EST, as I mentioned, our medical relief that consists of our medical facilities on island. We have a wonderful working collaboration with Health Services Authority, with Doctors Hospital, with Health City Cayman Islands, and we also have a good working relationship with the Cayman Islands Medical and Dental Society. So literally from across the entire island, we have that good working collaboration. So at the moment, those would be the 2, as well as our voluntary support, or our voluntary EST. That is led by our Red Cross, and we have a variety of different voluntary agencies from across all islands.
So these agencies, are these partner agencies, or are these the main agencies that make up the cluster? Can you walk me through that?
So the agencies for the cluster are both government and private. So we have a wonderful working collaboration between government and non-government agencies.
And is there anything in relations to your cluster that you for sure want the public to be aware of?
We just want to inform and warn the community that even though the weather outside might seem very tempting, we want to encourage persons to heed the warning from the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. Beryl is still bearing down upon us. Yes, it's going to pass some ways away from our shores, but we want to continue to remind persons to stay inside, stay battered down, and just please remain safe for us.
That is Jace Wilson of the Human Support Cluster. Thank you so much for joining us here on this live update. We want to remind the general public that the Cayman Islands is still under a hurricane warning and is subject to a stay in place measure. That means that members of the public should not go on the road until the all clear is given. We also want to remind the general public to, as you heard earlier, keep abreast of local weather and information from reputable sources, including, of course, the Department of Communications, Radio Cayman, and other official platforms. I'm Jevy Ebanks. Thank you for joining us.